Hello world, what's up, and welcome to our first show called God Said Give 'em a Podcast. Now you may say, God said give 'em a podcast. What is that all about? Well, I'll tell you, it's basically a play on words of a highly anticipated documentary, right? Detroit Sound Project presents God Said Give 'em Drum Machines. This is the story of Detroit Techno and its creators. We started this podcast because we wanted to continue to keep in touch with all of those who have supported us on our journey up to this point of making this great documentary. We also want to expose you to the process of what an independent film production company has to go through just to make a film like this, right? So we want you, our audience, in these uncertain times, right, of this COVID-19 changing market, we want you to come along and share in our journey, our struggles, and again, the impact that we've had thus far in our journey in trying to get support and expose people to this great history of Detroit Techno. But you know what? I did not do this alone. You know, you have to be on a great team of creatives. And so they will be introduced to you later on in the show. Again, if I didn't say it before, welcome. Thank you for joining in to our first show. I'm so excited. This is your boy, Reggie Dokes. My small role was that of composer, and we'll get into that as well later on in the show. But anyway, let me stop talking and let's get it popping. This is your boy, Reggie Dokes. Welcome. Let's get it going. So now I have the pleasure of introducing to you guys the team of this fine documentary. We have Jennifer Washington, who was an executive producer on the project. We have my brother Christian Hill, who was director, and David Grandison, who was a producer on this great documentary. All right, team, y'all say hello.
Yo, what's up, man?
What up?
Hey.
What up, though?
And I'm Christian Hill. I am the visionary behind the film. God said give them drum machines. You know, I'm definitely the visionary director.
Yes. Up next, the wonderful Jennifer Washington.
And I'm Jennifer Washington, executive producer and producer of God Said Give 'em Drum Machines, the Story of Detroit Techno. I thought I was the visionary behind the whole project, but, you know, if other people also, you know, want to claim that they have vision, that's fine too. I welcome everybody's expressions and ideas as the day-to-day, mommy of the project in terms of me having to do all this work too. I know everybody thinks that Christian is the really, you know, he is responsible for what we see on screen and the story as it moves and unravels. He has been doing an awesome job all of these years, working tirelessly, interviewing people from here to South Africa and Tokyo and Russia. Dave has also been a very important part of our team, as he is another producer on this film, and he also brings a wealth of knowledge and history and enthusiasm that we just could not do without. David, can you tell us about your role in the project and the other work that you're doing with Music Origins?
Yeah, we all linked up very early on. I had been documenting a lot of artists in Detroit and capturing their stories, and we teamed up early on in the process, and a large amount of the archive that I had accumulated, we pulled into the project and is a part of what the film is becoming. And I personally am a producer, of almost 20 years, but I focus on education, and the work that I do, kind of spans from games, apps, like DIY Doc, that I created to create documentaries and teach people how to create short documentaries. And then Music Origins Project, which is a way for young people to experience different parts of the world through Google Street Views and VR. And as a part of this project, I've documented every location that has been a part of this film and allowed young people travel to those locations virtually through Google Street Views, so that they can experience places like Grozny, Russia, or Tokyo, where Derek May plays a huge concert, and the team was there to film that, or South Africa, where the Cape Town Electronic Music Festival happened, and the film Electric Roots was shot. And so through these various vehicles, we're helping young people to learn about STEM skills and to experience places that they may never be able to go, but it allows us to tell our story on various different platforms. That ultimately what documentary films are is they're educational tools. And this is our way of kind of creating a Detroit Techno 101 platform that allows young people to experience the places that are part of the film, the founders of this film music called Detroit Techno, and ultimately for us to leave a legacy that helps young people to learn about Detroit Techno, because I think ultimately all of us have that in our hearts, is we want that story to be told worldwide, and we're trying to create a platform to do that. And
now Reggie, oh my gosh, we are so thrilled to have Reggie as part of our team now. The score music that he is responsible for is, I think, is another character in the film. And without it, this film wouldn't be possible. We wouldn't be able to tell these stories in this way. So I'm from Detroit, Michigan, as everyone else here. Detroit is my muse. I'm thrilled to be here. And this music, ever since I was growing up, has been a huge inspiration in my life. And this project is a labor of love. And today we wanted to talk about a live stream that we did over the summer. Part of my work is to make sure that this information about Detroit being the birthplace of techno music has been my a constant effort for the past 10 years. And so we are working to build bridges with different institutions in Detroit to help spread this message even further and for generations to come. And so we had this awesome virtual DJ live stream in July, and it was a successful event. We had all sorts of awesome DJs that performed, and we also raised money for Black Lives Matter Detroit. And we were so thrilled to be able to raise $500 to support their work. And I was able to interview John Sloan, who is one of the directors over there at Black Lives Matter Detroit. So we're going to go ahead and listen to that interview now. John, can you just start off by just introducing yourself and telling me your role?
So my name is John Sloan III. I am one of the co-lead organizers for the Detroit chapter of Black Lives Matter.
Just tell me, how long has BLM Detroit been around for?
Yeah, so BLM Detroit's been around for a few years, about maybe 4 years at this point. There have been a couple different iterations of the chapter. Organizing work is hard, right? So like none of us get paid to do this. So this is all a work that we put in on our own time. And we really do our best to make sure that we have a balance between the rapid response work, which is necessary. So the work out there protesting in the streets and supporting people immediately. And then also trying to have an eye on the long-term policy solutions and the long-term organizing that we know we need to really get to a point where we can have Black liberation for all of our people.
Tell me about your team. Who do you work with?
Yeah, so my primary partner in crime is a wonderful woman named Curtis Renee. She and I have been working together with BLM for the past 3-4 years almost. And we do our best to try to balance out that work. So we work in a couple key impact areas, right? So we work in food, nutrition, justice. We work in educational advocacy. Obviously, as BLM, we organize around police brutality. And we also work to make sure that we can assist our community in areas of poverty. And so a lot of times it looks like housing, and there's legal foreclosures that have been happening in Detroit for a long time, and how we can partner and support. And so Curtis and I really try to divide up those roles and those programming duties and split those. And then we've got a large team of supporters that are more general members that show up to events, that hop on our virtual events. And some other partners and collaborators that we reach out to from University of Michigan, from Michigan State, but really a pretty large group of supporters in the 3,000 to 4,000 range of people just in Detroit.
So, we did want to bring you here to do this, to officially give you this donation. A few weeks ago, we had a live stream of our own called Electric Unity. It was a DJ live stream, and we just felt like it was, our responsibility to support your chapter of Black Lives Matter. And so we're honored today to be able to virtually hand off a check to you, and then hopefully you can receive it on the other side. Oh, isn't that so awesome how we can do that?
Man, that was crazy. It really means a lot to us to know that we have family out there that are supporting us, that are doing everything they can. We have a lot of programs that we try to run year round, and the past couple months have brought us a lot of attention, but we've already seen a decline in donations and mailing lists. And so knowing that we have support from people like you and artists and Detroiters, regardless of whether you live here now, if you were born here and raised here, you're Detroiter for life. So we really appreciate that support. And this goes a long way. People don't understand, like this right here can make sure that we get, 10, 20 kids outfitted with supplies for school, with backpacks, make sure that we can feed, a few more families in our community. So that does a lot for us, and we really appreciate it.
How are people able to connect with you and get involved?
Yeah, so we have a couple key programs that we're working on right now, especially during this time of the pandemic. We recognize that a lot of the same forces that intersect to make police brutality and poverty so disproportionately affect our community are the same forces that are intersecting to make COVID and the coronavirus disproportionately affect our community. And so we've been doing a virtual series of events, and they can go to our website, blmdetroit.com, to look at that schedule and figure out when those are coming up. And we're also launching a new media channel on YouTube to be able to try to continue to get information out there. There's a lot of disinformation out there about BLM. There's a lot of misinformation and a lot of disinformation, right, that people put out there about our movement. And so we're trying to do the best job that we can to clarify any points as necessary. But we also have a few different programs. Right now, we're doing a community food share program where some of this money is going to go directly to urban farmers, Black farmers in Detroit, and we're paying them so they can keep their doors open. And they, in turn, are providing food to members of the community that have a need. Right. And so in some cases, we're subsidizing. In some cases, we're being able to cover the costs completely. So that program lasts for 8 weeks at a time. And that's something that members of the community can sign up for. And then we're also doing right now a backpack drive. So we're trying to prepare our youth for school coming up in the fall. We don't know what it's going to look like. And so our kids are going to need a variety of different things. They might need technology. They might need just regular old books and backpacks. And so those are the two major programs we're working on right now and trying to get up off the ground and running. And so you can do anything if you want to get involved. You can go to our website. You can shoot us an email. You can jump on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Obviously, money is always important, but that's not the only way you can tap in, right? Like, we want to make sure that our movement is sustainable, and we do our best to not launch any program if we don't feel like that's a program that we can sustain over time. We don't want to just parachute into a community and leave, right? So anything that we build out, we really want to make sure it's something that we can sustain and becomes a pillar of offerings to the community.
Can you tell our audience how they can reach you on social media?
Yeah, use our Instagram, our Twitter, our Facebook. It's at Detroit BLM. And just hit us up. You go to blmdetroit.com and shoot us an email. We will do our best to get back to you as quickly as possible. If that's not within the next first 2 days, just bear with us. We try to triage, right? So when somebody comes through and says, hey, I need you to help me with this crisis, they immediately jump towards the top of our list. So we ask for your patience, but we also appreciate your enthusiasm. And I just want to thank both of you. I had the privilege of seeing a screening of your piece at the Freak Film Festival a couple years ago. Didn't know I was watching your piece until Jennifer and I spoke earlier, and like the work that you are doing is a blessing to the artist community and to the city. So I just wanted to make sure I had an opportunity to say that to you.
Thank you, John. This was awesome.
Jennifer, I hear you. I really do. But first, let's get into the Detroit Hot Picks 3 from your boy, okay? Let's do that. So this first one is by my boy, Steve Crawford.
When the world's a maze of blunders, time to rise and face the thunder. Oh, the storm will take you under. So rise. They try to overthrow your flowing. And
The record is called Rise, featuring Lachi. I think this came out in 2017. Highly underrated record. Highly underrated. Steve Crawford is my homie from the D. He is actually professionally an attorney. So he is an attorney by day, and by night he is this awesome DJ, producer, and musician. Super talented brother, my man Steve Crawford. Rise.
So now if we can hear Christian, David, we'd like to hear from you now too. What is your takeaway from our event that we had in July, the Electric Unity Livestream?
Electric Unity was powerful because, we were able to, one, touch our fans again. We all really love to embrace the people who are supporting this project. And so this allowed us to touch the fans. We hadn't done anything substantial in a while. And so we had the love of the people who are supporting this film. They were able to come out. They were able to actually see some of the people who were part of the project, and they were able to obviously speak to the team, Jennifer and Christian, who can share their love. And so Electric Unity was a powerful, powerful event. And then we were able to touch the people who are now carrying the torch. And so we had DJs, young up and coming DJs, who were able to to bless us, and hopefully we were able to create a platform to actually allow them to be seen and to be a part of the industry. So I think we all really, really were blessed by the event, and we were really happy to be able to give back to Black Lives Matter, which is again, they're holding the torch on the social justice side of things.
Right, and thank you for being a part of our event as well. We couldn't do anything that we do without our village of producers and composers. And now I'd like to hear from our director, Christian Hill.
I loved Electric Unity. I loved how this community of DJs around the world kind of can come together at any moment and kind of aid people by just giving them this feel-good music and kind of sharing the camaraderie and things that we need in order to get over these tough moments. So just to be able to get this team of DJs together that could play some music for people, and people could feel good enough to donate some money and donate to our cause and come to our film and buy some merch. I mean, that was an amazing feeling and amazing power. The young DJs from Ann Arbor, Mimco, they stood out. Of course, our boys in South Africa always show up and show out. You know, we had Ivan and Bruno, and of course we had my favorite, Nesker One. So just the power in how we were able to, in the moment of kind of real need, be a source of inspiration for people to come together and feel good. So that's what I took away from Electric Roots, that it had like a real positive vibration on the community.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's not forget, shout out to Stacy Hot Wax Hale,
Yes.
and who that? And Reg. Reg was on the lineup too.
Yeah.
We can't forget that.
Yes.
You did your thing. Christian, would you please tell me what you do and where you are right now in the process of the film? What's going on with you behind the scenes?
There's a few different questions there.
That's a lot.
Yeah, right. I'll just try to take them one at a time. And your first one was, like, what am I doing now? Right. So I'll jump off there. It's like, now, as we try to really wrangle the story and go through like rewrites or re-edits, it's like finding those voices and those kind of like stories that connect the legacy of this music and its impact, you know, around the world and beyond the borders of Detroit, you know. So it's been just like clicking around, of course, on the internet, but I started running across a lot of kind of literature, books, and articles that kind of really point to the history of this music. So, you know, that's really how I've been kind of spending my time, reading Machine Soul by John Savage, which was like a Village Voice piece from 1993. You know, going back, reading Dan Sicko's book, Techno Rebels, which is, I want to say, the definitive kind of literature on Detroit dance music and the history of how this music kind of, where it starts and where it is now. And so kind of going through those tombs and kind of just getting ready for interviews that we've had, these makeup interviews, you know, which really are going to help the story. So, you know, in addition to reading, you know, it's just been kind of reformulating the story and just making it more of an emotional, character-driven piece as opposed to like a information-oriented doc, you know. Just making that leap into, I want to say, like filmmaking, you know, just, yes, the doc that we had and we've been working on was that, but over this course, you know, as you have and everyone who's associated with the film, we've all kind of grown and come into our own as, you know, producers and filmmakers. So as that evolution happens, luckily the story gets the benefit from everybody's kind of, I guess, growth, you know. So, you know, just in addition to that, we had an interview with a gentleman by the name of Norman Anderson. Norman Anderson he's professionally known by the name of Normski. And like Normski was the guy who took the photo. He took the photo that made it onto the Record Mirror magazine. That was the first cover photo of this music. You know, back in the 80s, there used to be a lot of fanzines and magazines kind of used to help sell this culture. In America, it'd be like Word Up, New Magazine, or Ebony Jr. Like those magazines just kind of were on the newsstand and they gave you information about your favorite artists. Well, in England in 1987-88, there was an fanzine called Record Mirror. And on that is where the picture of what we like to call the Techno Six, Juan Atkins, Derek May, Eddie Folks, Santonio Echoes, Blake Baxter, and Kevin Saunderson. That photo is the first photo of techno artists from Detroit being kind of marketed overseas. And this gentleman, Norman Anderson, took the photo. The great thing about him was that he was a 21-year-old kid from North London. You know, he was a black kid from London. So it was kind of cultures connecting and colliding. And with that, you know, they were surprised. Juan and them were really surprised that the magazine would send a black guy over to take their picture, because they had never really seen somebody, a brother with a camera out here taking pictures. And Norm was surprised that the makers of this music that he had heard about, he had only heard about it on the trip, that the makers of this music looked like his brothers or his cousins and his family members. And that was one of the things he really took away from Detroit, was the familial bond and how this music kind of really connected him to a sound that he had learned was electro, but he didn't really know that it was kind of born out of Juan Atkins in Detroit. And he holds great reverence for Juan and the Detroit sound. So it was a great interview to just get him on tape talking about this stuff, you know?
So guys, let me get into this next Detroit Hot Picks 3, okay? Sound Signature, y'all. Come on. One of the deepest and most prolific labels from Detroit, my man Theo Parrish. Now, Theo may have been born and raised in Chicago, but when he moved to the D and making music in his young adulthood, it's best to say that Detroit claimed him as their own. And it's safe to say that, you know, once Theo started traveling as a DJ, that he represented the D hard and still does to this day. My man, Sound Signature, Theo Parrish, Lights Down Low.
You know, being from Detroit, you know, there's like, it's like a language we have with other people. I really, if people aren't from Detroit or Michigan, I really kind of don't like them as much. You know, I really, honestly, I think I might just be a little discriminatory against people that aren't from the D. There's always something that puts a smile on my face when some, you know, good news comes out of the D, or it's just anything that's artsy or creative. It's not only a city of resilient people, but it's a city of creative people and people that have this like other, you know, it's like confidence on another level. And today, my cousin, shout out to Glenn Washington on Snap Judgment podcast, he sent me a text. Did you get it, Dave?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so he sent me a text about some news piece that happened in Detroit, and I want to share it with everybody. Now, if you can share it, Dave, that'd be great.
There we go. So, you know, I had seen this bubbling earlier today, and it blew my mind that somebody in Detroit has actually tried to jump the drawbridge over the River Rouge River. Okay, that's some Detroit. Okay, do you want to play it?
The news tonight at 11, a driver is arrested after jumping his car over a rising drawbridge on Detroit's west side.
Tim Pamplin is on the scene with the night cam. Tim.
We are down near Zug Island. There's a Fort Street Bridge. Normally the arms are up, allowing cars to pass through. Well, tonight one arm is down, completely smashed to bits. As the driver fetters himself as a bit of a daredevil.
Now look, I said, no, we ain't.
Best bridge operator Andre says he couldn't believe his eyes. Well, the driver is now in the back of a police car. There's his vehicle smashed in. Officers tell me he's full of whippets. Whippets, you say, yes. That's a whipped cream dispenser. Apparently youngsters nowadays can sniff the gas and get high. Here's Andre again.
I hit the emergency stop and the bridge jammed.
Detroit police putting out the unusual call this evening.
But actually, he Dukes the Hazzard across and made it across.
Over he went, blew out all 4 of his tires, and then he crashed through the other gate over there.
The cop said it was like the Dukes of Hazzard.
That's what it, I call it the Blues Brothers. That's a first for me.
So we have stories that come out of Detroit that never cease to amaze us because of the things that happen in the D. You know, and that's a Detroit story. What y'all think about that?
Oh my God! Only in the D, man. Only in the D, man. That's a first, bro.
Vehicles, though. All about cars, cosmic cars. Remember, Detroit Techno, cosmic cars. My man was trying to fly. He was trying to leave like the mothership. I ain't mad.
You know, I think that was so inspirational. Like that alone, I think is worth its own spot on a podcast. Only in the D. Only in the D do you see somebody jumping the bridge like the General Lee on Dukes and Hazzard.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I gotta give it. That's cosmic cars, man. That's right. That's Juan. Juan wrote about that before he did it.
Right.
That's techno, right?
Yeah. That's techno. There you go.
Driving in my car.
Foot on the gas.
Why are we pulling up articles? Do we pull up the other article that came up this week?
Bring it out. You know, I think that, you know, it's all about, you know, we want to talk about the now and we want to talk about where we came from. So it's all good. Let me see. Can I share? Wow, I hadn't even heard about that.
Okay, this is what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes, this is what I'm talking about. And I guess if, you know, on some level, since we're throwing out articles about what's happening in Detroit right now, this is definitely something that's happening to Detroiters who love techno music in real time. Their feelings about these accusations, you know? Wow.
So can Christian, in a nutshell, can you talk about what this Deadline article says?
Well, I mean, the Deadline article points to accusations made against Derek some 13 years ago and a few other additional accusations of him being sexually inappropriate. So I'm just bringing this article to the fore because at some point, hopefully, you know, Derek can get his name, kind of his reputation back if this is not true. However, if it's true, it's unfortunate, and you know, one man's actions, you know, hopefully don't shine poorly on the whole scene. You know what I mean? Yeah, well, you know, I would say, and you know, I want to be PC, and I want to make sure, you know, that I'm being you know, sensitive. But you know, again, we have challenges, I think, that happen when we're dealing with artists. And many times, you know, artists do things that may not always be seen in the best light. We've had this happen with Michael Jackson. You know, we've had things like this happen, you know, with many of our icons. And so I think that the challenge that I always have is, do we separate the art from the person? Can we separate the art from the person? And that's I think that's going to be, as long as we have artists, we're always going to run into challenges, you know, with their life, with their lifestyles. But Jennifer, what are your thoughts on that? You know, because again, I'm speaking from my perspective.
It's happened. We see it with Ellen. We're seeing this type of thing with Ellen too. Again, like, you know, the thing with Derek, after, you know, we've been following this saga, and yes, women have been coming forward and they've been sharing their stories too.
Let me put my 2 cents in too. So,
Please.
so, you know, I first off, you know, you hate seeing this kind of thing, especially when you know the person personally. You know, for me, it's hard because, you know, I like to think that Derek helped me significantly, you know, when I was first trying to become this traveling DJ. And, you know, I spoke to him the other day just to check in on him, see how he was doing. And he said that, you know, he's remaining strong and that he's a fighter, his exact words. He's a fighter and that he's going to fight this. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, yes, there are allegations. You know, I think we all want to see how, you know, this plays out, and you know, but you know, it's something that, you know, we have to talk about. You know, something we can't skirt around because, you know, he's one of our major key components, you know, in this documentary. So I just really hope there's a positive ending to this, you know.
That's all. That's why I brought it up, just because we'd be remiss if we sat here and then made fun of the video of the car going over the bridge and not really dealt with the real kind of issue that this impacting one of the people who helped us get to this point in making this film, and inspired all of us on some level to bring our best to this storytelling effort.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay, y'all. This last one, I gotta get this last one in, please. We're gonna keep it in the Sound Signature family, okay? But it's not Theo Parrish. This time it's our boy Alton Miller. Alton Miller, yes, from the D. Alton Miller. This one is called Bring Me Down, one of my favorite tracks to run on the Sound Signature label. Bring Me Down, produced by Alton Miller, featuring the homie, Miss Marissa Rose. Listen, when Theo moved to Detroit, he was living in this basement apartment in downtown Detroit. And I remember going to his spot often, you know, just getting those words of wisdom, trying to submit music on his label, just really trying to be in that brother's presence. And he was always so gracious and giving. You know, one thing I did notice when Theo was putting out music, a lot of people, it's probably safe to say, weren't connecting with what he was doing. And one of the things that I respect about Theo is that he kept at it. He didn't let the naysayers, keep him from producing the music that he wanted to produce, you know. So again, much respect to Theo. You know, I am so honored that I was there in the beginning to see his career go from 1 to 10 through hard work and perseverance. So much love to Theo Parrish. This one is called Bring Me Down, produced by Alton Miller, featuring Miss Marissa Rose. Let's go.
want to move on next to the, I think we all feel this way, the inspiration behind this great documentary, the title for that matter, the great, rest in peace, Mike Huckaby, who was a true inspiration to all of us. And I think Christian said it, that, he was the inspiration behind the title, of this great documentary. Huckabee touched a lot of us in so many great ways. And so, we want to share that with you. So we'll start with Jennifer. Jen, what's your thoughts and feelings about Huckabee and his impact on our journey so far in making this great piece?
Well, I have to say that, honestly, I didn't know Mike growing up, unlike many of you did. But when I did meet him, I knew that he was somebody special. And he was such a genuine spirit and honest person, and who was selfless. And he was, out of all the people that we've interviewed for this project, I really felt like he really did have a genuine concern for the youth in Detroit and others. And so he was a beautiful spirit that wanted to, I guess, focus on education. And that's something that not most of our subjects didn't have that to offer. And so it was fresh, and it was exciting to hear his perspective when we first interviewed him all those years ago at the Standard Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. And when we sat down to speak with him, I knew very little, but when he started to talk about how he had a dream, so to speak, one day about how God and the angels were sitting around trying to figure out what to do with Detroit. And because it was at this time, Detroit was going through a bankruptcy. But growing up in Detroit, it's always been sort of on the economic decline. And this was something that kind of always haunted me, and I think others too that are on the Zoom today can relate to. And like Norman Anderson put it yesterday, was bombed out when he first saw it. And so Mike had this dream, so to speak, between it was God and the angels speaking about what can we do? What should we do about the people of Detroit? They're starving. And God said, give them drum machines. And so Mike shared this story with us, and right then and there, we knew that was going to be the new title of our film. So we are forever in debt to his heart and his spirit. And he continues to inspire and motivate us to get to the finish line. So that's
absolutely. That was great. Thank you, David Grandison. What's up, man? Well, tell us your feelings about Huckabee and his influence.
It makes me, chokes me up, really, talking about Huck, because Huck just had such a pivotal role in the development of dance music in Detroit. Okay?
Absolutely.
Mike Huckabee influenced a generation of artists between 1990 and 2000 working. I'm not sure which of those years he was working at Record Time, but when he was at Record Time, he was the guy to go to when you were a DJ in the city, and he was touching artists. He was, there were just so many artists who came through the door. And then he went on to start producing his own music. He became a sound designer. He was one of the only one of the first sound designers to actually, create and engineer sounds for, many of the drum machine companies. Okay, so his influence was felt around the world, not only in Detroit, but people were making beats with his clips. They were using his sounds. So Mike Huckabee is a legend in the D as far as I'm concerned. And I feel like we're blessed to use his quote as part of the title for this film, and he will be missed. And again, I wrote a tribute to him about Record Time and him, on the site, musicorigins.org, if you want to learn a little bit more about his time at Record Time. But yeah, Mike was big.
Yeah,
I did. But can I add one thing to what I said? We got to remember, Mike was an educator too.
Yes.
Mike was teaching young people at Youthville. Mike is responsible for cats like Kyle Hall and a number of other artists that learned beat making from him. So again, we're educating. Mike was an educator. So that's love. We got to talk about that aspect of his legacy.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. All right, Christian Hill, we'll end it with him on Huckabee and his influence on this documentary and on you. Go ahead, brother.
Thank you. We go back. It's like, but it's like that. Those my earliest memories and hanging with Huck is what is like the stuff I was leaning on when I asked him for the interviews and stuff like that, because I hadn't talked to him in years. But, when we was in high school, we used to hang and DJ together and stuff like that. And man, a friend of mine was going through some tapes in South Africa. He was in South Africa and he was going through some old tapes from the 80s. And he ran across a tape that I had given him. It was from a party that I did at Michigan State. And on the tape, I was like, I'm your audio tech for the evening. And, for the next half an hour, you are going to hear the sounds of my man, Mike Huckaby. And bro, that, for a few days, that had me messed up. I was thinking like, well, how do I get this in the film? Do I put myself in the film, Huck? And, it was an overwhelming moment to just kind of share with people. We're just like, man, this was my dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just not, I just met him now and then took something that he said and tried to, monetize off of it. Nah, bro, we hang. When I was in New York, my man would come stay with me in New York. We'd go out, talk about music. He'd stay at my crib, it was just, it had been like a gap between that period and kind of today where I'm trying to be a filmmaker, not trying, when I met him, it's like talking about being a filmmaker, and my man always supported. And he'd be like, point that thing over here, bro. Yeah, point that thing, man. And, that's what I would try to do. But, my man, even in the end, I was like hitting him up, trying to, get him to give me some music. And he would always be like, bro, I don't understand what you're doing. I don't know what's going on. And, I used to be like, bro, I'm making a movie. You ain't gonna understand, but that being said, bro, I wish I would have kind of taken the time to figure out to help him to understand earlier, so that he could have left more of his imprint on this thing. So, he does have a significant imprint on how this movie, So, like, I can remember him giving me notes and kind of being like, yo, man, make sure you keep Blake in the shit. You got to keep Blake's story in there. And like, yo, you need to get Steve Dunbar in there. Man, make sure you get Steve Dunbar in there. Don't, shoot, I'm glad you got Daryl Shannon. You know what I mean? Just like, oh, boy, was kind of supporting my early decisions in a way that kind of, that's why it's in the film now, is because Huck was, in our best way to communicate about what I was doing. He was kind of giving me like feedback on what he wanted to see in terms of this story being told. So again, I just wish I could have done more to help him understand what I was doing. So, we'd have more of him on screen.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for sharing. I know for me, I was one of those DJs that would go to Record Time every week, and Huckabee worked in the dance room, and man, that room would be full of cats, man, because the records came in. The new records always came in on a certain day, so you when you went in, you knew you were going to hear some new stuff, and Huckabee was the guy, and he would just play the new stuff, and we'd give him that signal like, yeah, I want that. And, Huckabee was into making bags for everybody, like if you didn't have the money to buy all those records at that given moment, he would make a bag for you, put your name on it. And I see you next week, bro, when I had that cheddar to buy those $10 and $20 records, you know what I'm saying? But, Huckabee will be missed, man. I was fortunate enough a few years back to have a gig in New York, and Huckabee was on the bill, and I was opening up for him. And I remember it was raining like hard as hell, and we were under this tent, and the tent started to collapse. And so the promoters were like, look, man, we're gonna move you all inside downstairs, the basement of the club. And Huckabee, he was like my Yoda, man, just a calm, intellectual, approachable spirit. And, for me playing with Huckabee, having all these years under my belt, being a DJ, playing with Huckabee was humbling for me, because I understand the contributions, the blood, sweat, and tears, the dues that he has paid, and the tremendous amount of people that he has influenced, all over the world, man. So it was really humbling. I'm so blessed to have such a great memory of, sharing, a moment, with Huckabee. And I know that, once we get to the finish line, with this documentary, that he will be smiling down upon us, because, you talk about Black Lives Matter, and when we talk about the social injustices that have occurred and continue to occur, but all of this has shed light on the lack of stories and influence that people of color, specifically, Black people, have played, not only music, but fashion, how the underground of music and fashion has influenced, the world. So, that's why our story matters. That's why this documentary matters, because we know it's a lot of documentaries out there that have spoken to, or the story of techno, but we feel we have something special because we delve deep into the Techno Six, if you will, and their stories, and how what they created, and influenced the world. And I think that's what makes all of this unique, very special, and necessary. We have to remember that music is one of those things that brings people together. And if you're going to bring people together, you need to educate them. And so we feel that this documentary is going to do that.
Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for joining us and supporting us on our first show, God Said Give 'Em a Podcast. Listen, when we think about the D, as we affectionately call it, Detroit, you may say, well, why is the story of Detroit techno so important? Well, I'll tell you. First off, it's Black history, right? Second, it's history that the world needs to know. We're talking about a young man who created a genre that influenced the multi-billion-dollar industry of EDM. Hey, It is a story that has never been told in this way. So that's why we are excited to show you and to share with you again what our journey has been, right? And delve into a few things that may be popping in Detroit that we might find interesting. So listen, I hope this has been not only entertaining, but I hope it has been informative as well. So please stick with us, be patient. Don't forget, you can follow us on our socials on Instagram and Facebook, right? At God Said Give 'em Drum Machines. Also, we have a really cool website you can find online, www.gsgedm.com. There you can delve into a little more of the documentary, the trailer, the people, the personalities of Detroit Techno. And also, you can purchase some merch. Man, we got some cool t-shirts and hoodies. So please support, show that Detroit love, and support us in our journey and what we're trying to do. We appreciate you. This podcast can be listened to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen from. Okay? So guys, thanks again. We appreciate you wholeheartedly. Please stay tuned for episode 2. And don't forget, Detroit is techno. Peace.